The most common form of despair is not being who you are. Kierkegaard. This quote hits hard. As I was scripting this video, this quote suddenly appeared and really moved something within me. In this one sentence, Kierkegaard summarizes exactly what happens when we are plagued by perfectionism. We are afraid of fully being ourselves and constantly suppress our souls, which leads to this feeling of despair. So I'll be exploring the origins of perfectionism, and then I'll share 3 keys that helped me and my clients conquer it. So Pete Walker, in his book about CPTSD from surviving to thriving, explores perfectionism as a trauma response from having experienced toxic shame. Consequently, we feel like there's something inherently wrong with us, and perfectionism becomes a coping strategy to compensate for these feelings of inferiority. And in my experience as a therapist, I must say that this is spot on. But I'd like to bring a bit more nuance to that. So I'll borrow a few ideas from Jung and psychology and transactional analysis to present you a more or less complete synthesis. So when our ego complex is formed, it comes with a rooted desire for positive regard and appreciation. And it is not only an emotional need but a biological one. We are wired to bond with our caregivers, and to do so, we unconsciously seek to match their expectations about us, to receive love, validation, nurturing, and protection. These expectations can also be understood in terms of a script. So from an early age, we receive a set of rules, guidelines, and ideals that must be followed. If we fulfill this script, we are praised, and if we don't, we are shunned and basically feel like a fuck up. Over time, the presence of the mother or father isn't required anymore, and the script becomes internalized. In Jungian psychology, we call that the mother and father complex. And many people can even hear the set of rules and guidelines in their parents' voice inside their heads. If you really think about it, this is it's kind of crazy experience. But the main problem is that these expectations are often against our true desires, needs, and authentic personalities. Furthermore, we learn to interpret and react to the world through their lenses, and most importantly, we judge ourselves based on their values and experiences. We inherit a map that wasn't designed by us and unconsciously replicate all of their patterns around work, relationships, and how to deal with our own emotions. Moreover, this script often comes with fears, limitations, and judgments that hinder the development of our personalities. We never develop a healthy ego, and because we learn that there are all of these conditions to be fully loved and accepted, we are primed to have an external sense of self-worth, and we unconsciously believe that if we somehow become perfect, we will finally receive their love. Now, I don't want to reduce everything to the mother and father complex, as these feelings of shame and inadequacy can also be amplified by experiences such as bullying, comparison between siblings, emotional neglect, cultural standards, environments that foster competition, and also by individual tendencies of our personalities. That said, all of these experiences tend to happen while we are still maturing psychologically, and our egos aren't strong enough to differentiate between someone's projections upon us and who we truly are. But because we need to maintain a bond with our caregivers, we tend to internalize all of this shame and start to believe that we are the problem, instead of realizing that they might be wrong for placing all of this upon us. And to compensate for this shame-based identity, we tend to develop an immaculate persona and over-identify with everything that we do. If we are less than perfect, we're plagued by feelings of inferiority and a hostile inner dialogue. Pete Walker also discusses an interesting idea, salvation fantasies. Something I'm definitely guilty of. So this basically means that we usually elect a certain practice or habit that we must execute with absolute perfection. Otherwise, we feel like we might die. I remember being obsessed with my diet a few years ago. I had to eat clean all of the time and would feel absolutely defeated if I cheated. So this provides an illusory sense of control, and as long as you are doing everything right, you feel worth it. It's weird, but it's almost as if this could redeem you somehow. However, when we are enmeshed with it, you don't realize how compulsive and destructive it actually is. Now, I believe I covered everything important regarding the origins of perfectionism, but if you'd like a deeper exploration, I suggest watching my playlist, The Unorthodox Roadmap for Trauma Healing. You can also download my free book and read all about the mother and father complex, as the final solution to this matter involves individuating from your parents. Link down below. Alright, time to explore how to conquer perfectionism. So Pete Walker provides a few solutions to deal with and shrink the inner critic. They're all based on adjusting your inner monologue, as well as using affirmations and visualizations. And I know that this work really well for some people. However, they never worked for me. I clearly see the value in transforming our inner monologue and disidentifying from the inner critic. But I just feel like I'm gaslighting myself when I use affirmations. So that said, I will go over the 3 keys that helped me: presence, obsession, and flow. So, presence. One of the main problems of trauma is that we disconnect from our bodies, and keeping things only on an intellectual level only enhances this split. That's why I believe we should engage our bodies to transcend the level of the mind. That said, the first thing that ever helped me was going to the gym and relearning to be connected with my body. I used to pack an extra 25 kilos, and my appearance was a major source of shame for me. Honestly, I hated when I looked myself in the mirror. However, the experience of taking care of myself and giving me the love I needed completely transformed my self-image. And not only that, I slowly learned to be present and fully connected to my senses and to what I was doing. And for the first time, my mind was silent and the inner critic started vanishing. Short after, I also started meditating and doing various breathing exercises. And over time, I learned to control my mind and detach from destructive thoughts. Yoga exercises that train focus and attention are also extremely potent. For instance, last week we were training to breathe from one nostril and exhale from the other one. And as we were doing this exercise, I just thought, wow, how come something so simple can be so brilliant? So if you want to try it, I'm going to teach you now. Alright, so you should close your eyes and focus on your breathing for a few moments. Now you're going to put all your attention in your right nostril as you inhale. And when you exhale, you're going to imagine the air passing through your left nostril. Then you're going to invert the process. You're going to focus on your left nostril as you inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to imagine it passing through your right nostril. As you can see, this is really simple. So you're going to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Obviously with your eyes closed. But if you do that for a few minutes, I guarantee you feel more present and at peace. I also strongly encourage you to find a good teacher, as it allows you to receive instant feedback, be out of control, and enter the flow state more easily. Now, obsession. The second layer of conquering perfectionism is related to work and imposter syndrome. I released a video about it last week that you can check later, so I'll expand on a few ideas. One of the effects of having a childish mentality is that we never want to commit to anything. And there is this illusion that we must be perfect at everything without dedicating ourselves to it. If we're not immediately good at it in the first few tries, we drop it entirely. One of the reasons for this is that when we are seeking perfection, we identify with our productions and derive our sense of self-worth from the results we get. One of the main dynamics behind procrastination. The problem is that we never allow ourselves to learn and have unrealistic expectations. However, this also becomes an excuse to avoid doing the hard work, as many people develop an arrogant persona and believe that they're beyond the human experience, and having to work hard for something is beneath them, and they prefer their childish illusions. Naively, many people believe that they will integrate their shadow by filling out shadow work prompts and being completely passive about it. However, it's only when we fully commit to exploring our potential and developing pristine work ethic that we begin seeing real value in ourselves. All the parts that were repressed due to the inner critic exist in potential inside us, and it's our duty to explore them and bring them to life. We must give our blood and energy for them to emerge and become an integral part of our personalities. Shadow integration requires movement. For instance, if you always wanted to sing or play guitar but never did because your parents didn't allow you, it's pointless to journal about it. You have to develop your creativity by doing music. If you always wanted to pursue a career but never did because you are afraid of judgment, well, you simply have to explore this possibility. It's up to us to set new standards and craft our own values. It's up to us to stop allowing fear and shame to dictate our entire lives. We must dare to be ourselves. And I explored this process in depth in my course, Katabas is the Shadow Integration Manual. Now, the final dimension to conquer perfectionism involves the flow state and unlocking intrinsic motivation. People who are prone to perfectionism have an external sense of self-worth and tend to be motivated by the approval of others and external factors. That's why we must reverse the process and learn how to do things of our own volition, regardless of external pressure. That's exactly when the flow state enters, as it occurs when we are deeply connected to what we are doing and the activity itself is deeply rewarding. There isn't a final goal like gaining the approval of other people. You're doing it because it gives you pleasure, makes you feel inspired, and fills your life with meaning. And I often experience this state when I'm playing music or writing. I get transported to another dimension and feel the creative spirit moving through me. However, we can only access the flow state when we deeply care about something and allow ourselves to be fully affected by it. When something has this level of importance in our lives, suddenly what other people think stops mattering so much. It's not that we stop caring completely, nor should this be the goal, but we have access to something so potent and powerful that what other people think becomes irrelevant. When we access the flow state, we are driven by inspiration and purpose, and our lives acquire a deeper sense of meaning. And that's why flow is a powerful antidote to perfectionism. Lastly, I teach you to conquer perfectionism, the imposter syndrome, and how to access the flow state in my new and accessible course, Obliterate Procrastination. You can also come directly to Audacity University and access all of my courses. And it is for two kinds of people. First, for people who want to become their own analysts, learn the best tools to integrate your shadow, interpret dreams, improve your relationships, excel at your craft, and live a more inspired and creative life. And second, for therapists and coaches who want to become proficient in Jungian psychology in 1 year. Feel confident to integrate Carl Jung's methodology into your practice, become more valuable, and build a lucrative one-person business. All links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one.